Hello and welcome back to another news video, this time looking at the Infographic collection. This is a website that Square Enix have put together in celebration of their 5th anniversary of the game, and essentially it looks at some infographs. If you don't know what infographs are, they're essentially fancy ways of showing data with images. So apparently the total number of players equals 14 million, which apparently is the same as the population of each of those cities above Los Angeles, Tokyo or London. They're trying to bring into perspective the real size of this game and the impact it's had, which there is no denying is absolutely massive. In addition to that, apparently the amount of cutscene time equals 4,500 minutes. So this is the amount of time it takes to view all cutscenes within the unending journey in your in-room. The time calculated is based on cutscenes played using auto-advanced settings at a default speed with Japanese voiceovers, which apparently is the equivalent of 38 times a Roman holiday. So the next slide is in-game text, and this is in relation to the total number of Japanese characters and English, French and German words written for Final Fantasy XIV, with the base game coming in at 9 million characters or words, and Stormblood up to current being 28 million words, which apparently is 43 times the complete collection of the Sherlock Holmes back catalogue, which is absolutely insane. This usually accumulates quite quickly, but you can see the spike there as more dialogue is added in Heavensward, and it really goes ham in Stormblood from 24 to 28 in the course of just a few patches. The next slide shows the background music equals 498 tracks, which is 2,000 minutes in total. Apparently you can enjoy listening to Final Fantasy XIV music whilst driving down the entirety of Route 66, driving at an average speed of 70 miles per hour or 113 kilometers per hour. Apparently 2000 times 113 kilometers per hour equals 3,755 kilometers, which is the same distance as Chicago to Santa Monica, which is pretty insane if you think about it, but I can't exactly attest to your sanity when you get to your destination. And the next slide is on repair costs, and apparently the amount of gil cumulatively spent on repairs thus far in the entire game is 1,800,000,000,000 gil. If you assumed that 1 gil is 1 cent, would be enough to repair the Leaning Tower of Pisa for 530,000 years. That's a bit of an obscure one for that slide, but nonetheless is a little bit insane. I suppose it costs a lot to fix the Tower of Pisa. I don't know, I'm fairly ignorant in that regard. The next slide is the amount of light Ritatin Sas Arvina has created. Apparently, assuming the amount of light, soul achievement, gained from defeating Ritatin Sas Arvina is equivalent to 1 lux, he's been defeated enough times to generate light equal to nearly a month of clear sunny days, which is a little interesting. I've been defeated 2,600,000 times, and that's how they came up with that maths. The next slide is the amount of people travelling by Aetheryte, and apparently this is the number of people that utilise a transit system per day, which equals 800,000 people per day, which is actually more than New York's Grand Central Station, which actually only usually comes into 750,000 people per day, which puts into perspective how much teleporting in this game there is. The next slide is all about squats, and this is the number of squats performed by House 4 Temps guards by now, since the implementation of the Heavensward expansion, which is 72,200,000 squats. And apparently when you convert the energy from these squats into electricity, there's enough electricity to power an electric car to travel the full circumference of the Earth. This calculation is based on the amount of heat produced per squat, converted it into electrical power, and they took breaks during world maintenance, so no squats were counted at those times. And the next one is awards and nominations. The game has received 107 awards and 34 nominations up until August 2018, which is very cool. And the next slide is flight distance for business trips. This relates to Yoshi P, and the total distance Yoshi P has flown for business. Now bear in mind this guy goes around to pretty much every major convention and fan fest and everything else for publicity. Apparently that's 810,000 kilometers, which is around 503,311 miles, and is the same as a trip to the moon and back. So I suppose what you could say is Yoshi P goes to the moon and back to try and bring your feedback back to the actual production team. Either way, I thought this was worth sharing. It's very interesting, it's a little bit silly, but nonetheless there are some really big achievements that Square Enix should be very proud of. Either way, a link to this will be in the description of this video. Thank you kindly for watching, and I'll speak to you all next time.